And it's a weird show because when you win, you don't. It's not like a big cash prize. You win some contracts. You win more work essentially.
You win work. You
Right.
win work.
What the hell is that about? Is that what they still do?
I don't know. I haven't seen the show since the season after me, but it was nice because I like to work. So it was good for me because you had to move to New York as part of the cover girl requirements. So I had to be living in the city. I was moving to a city I didn't know. I'd never lived on my own before, really, other than at college, which was just for 1 year.
Right. Man.
And so it was very different for me. And it was good to have something that kept me so busy at first, especially since my agency pretty much imploded a few months after me getting there.
The elite model
And
agency
so,
that they hype up in every show. That one? Or just
yes.
First is a contract with one of the top modeling agencies in the entire world.
Ah, they fired their guy that they had for forever, for like over a decade.
wow.
And almost all of the bookers either left or were fired. And so they did an entire company-wide sweep that just left me utterly confused. And all of a sudden, my agent was gone, and everybody I had as a contact at the agency was gone. And I was landed with a bunch of people that didn't want me.
And you're a young kid in a new city, and you're by yourself. It's a lot. It seems like you're getting adversity whether you like it or not. It seems.
Yeah. And you want the one person you really want to like you in modeling is your agent. That's the person that's going to bat for you. That's the person that's getting you jobs. And you have an agent that likes you. And then the next day you have a bunch of agents that don't care about you and you're under contract with them. And it's just like, oh, shoot. Oh, man.
Right.
What do I do now?
For those like contracts that they hype up and those like spreads and whatever, what kind of work do you actually have to do? Is it really like long, like, contracts, like months, years, or what? Because I remember they said cover goal was whatever, 100K contract. And I'm wondering, okay, but how hard is it to actually extract that 100K from that contract?
It really wasn't that bad. I'd say about 3 months of filming and voiceover work. The voiceover work was definitely the hardest. You'd have to go in there and just for hours, they'd like try and get you to sound the right way. And for me, I feel like it was difficult because one, I don't have an acting background. And two, I wasn't portraying a character. I was being myself.
Right.
And so you're having to voice over yourself with yourself, and you have to make yourself sound in a way you would never sound, say things you would never say. And it felt very unauthentic to me, and I didn't like that, but they were great to work with and it was fun. So that was about 3 months. And I'd say the hardest part of getting your money out of that contract or whatever is just the fact that you have to move to New York. So you're having to move to a new city, furnish an apartment. I lived in Brooklyn and my rent was $1,800 a month for my tiny 1 bedroom, but I had a 1 bedroom. I didn't have a studio or a loft. So I was feeling pretty spoiled about that. And, I think just the setup and everything that you have to pay, and you're not even paid by cover girl at that point. So you're having to do all that out of pocket. And I was lucky enough to have parents that, lent me money until I got my money from my contract. But what if somebody didn't have that?
Sure.
I have no idea how you'd be able to fulfill that requirement.
You have to take out a loan to live in a place just to support yourself living in that place, if that makes sense.
Yeah, with no credit. And I guess you could live in model housing, but I think model housing was like $150 a night. I stayed in it for a bit, and it was just, that adds up quick. And then they take that right out of your paycheck. So you never even get that money. So
did you feel like when you succeed in something that massive, like obviously Ultimate Fighter would be another good example of that. It's always like, oh, you made it, you did it, you're at the other end of this thing. Now it's like it's all rainbows and sunshine. And was it like that after, or no? Or did you already kind of knew you hated this thing, or it was kind of growing apart from you?
I really was happy. I won. That's kind of awesome. And it came with just a lot of opportunities I would have never had. I got to go so many times to different places just to be me, just to be a special guest, just to teach people at seminars. And that part was really wonderful. But there were girls in my season and other seasons that had it easier because they didn't win. And, they might have had a little bit more upfront work that they had to find their own agency and stuff. But a lot of them probably had people reaching out to them as well. Like, hey, we want to we would like to represent you. And I know one of the girls on my season is incredibly successful, but she's very talented acting wise.
Oh, yes.
And she actually broke into the Annalie Tipton.
Annalie, that's right, yes.
Except for she goes by Leo now, I think.
I've seen her in a few movies, yeah. She looks familiar.
Yeah, so she actually, from what I understand, she got her break in acting because they wanted 2 girls from Top Model to be on The Big Bang Theory. And so she was one of the girls that was living in LA that they picked to go there. And then she just, networked her way as she was there. And they're like, hey, we'd like to use you for other things. Come to an audition here. Here's my agent's card, whatever it was. And so, you have that and they have a little bit more freedom versus me. I don't have permission to do anything without my agent signing off on it first. And so there was a couple things that was like, hey, I go to my agent, hey, that I got approached and somebody wants me to do this. You think it'd be possible for me to be able to do this? No. If you want to do things like that, you need to go through us. And it's just like, oh my gosh. Eventually I just got sick of it and I left New York and I went to Paris and, just went where people liked me a little better.
Really? Paris? You lived in Paris for like a little bit?
I lived in Paris, and after Paris, I lived in Sydney for a little bit. And then we moved to California for a little bit and back to Chicago for a while. And yeah.
That's quite the life. Yeah, you lived quite an interesting life. How many years did you continue doing modeling after the show?
Man, okay, let's see. So the show was filmed in 2009, I believe. My daughter was born in 2013, and I modeled through my pregnancy with her. So it's like 4 years after the show.
Wow. That's a pretty good career in modeling, right? Or no, is that a lot? Yeah.
I mean, I still do things here and there, but it's not a serious thing for me. For me, it was always like a single person job because you have to go on so many castings before you book something. So what am I supposed to do? I can't bring my kid on my castings. And we were living either an hour or 18 hours away from LA, depending on traffic. So it didn't make sense once I had a kid to keep doing it like normal, but I still work with a lot of companies I used to work with before. And that's been such a blessing to me.